Hello, everyone. Welcome to the delayed post-match. Liverpool 2, United 2. Finally on air over here. Probably better to kind of like let this simmer down for like 15, 20 minutes before jumping on. Because based on what I see on social media and some of the WhatsApp chats I see, makes you just wonder about certain people, but it is what it is. Brian, Serzi, Blake here after the game. Obviously this is what we feared, Serzi, but was it really overconfidence that was the reason for the results, or where do you put how it's ended up, or is it just ultimately Liverpool United and the records was going to be thrown out the window?
It's hard to tell because it's our first game post Christmas, first game of the year. I felt like only a few of our players turned up, or we didn't. I don't think it was complacency from the players. I think it was more we gave them too much respect, and it just felt like they were trying to this whole narrative that we were going to smash them 10-0 and whatever. I think it felt like the players were trying to prove a point that it's not easy. And again, the hardest thing from this is that the Scousers didn't turn up. Both Trent and, Curtis didn't turn up. And I feel bad for Trent because this is the last thing he needed with all the noise going on around him. This came out at the worst time. Like, everyone's entitled to a bad game. Everyone. We've had Addison have bad games, Salah, so everyone. But it just came at a bad time for him with all the noise going around. And I think the only way that he can redeem himself is by signing that contract and just to show, look, he's in for this, because right now, 99% of the world think, he's already in Madrid. Just based on that performance. And I don't think that's true. He's had one of his better seasons for us, despite him not signing that new contract. He just came at a really bad time. And I just think the next game we'll see Man United revert back to type, and they're going to get smashed by Arsenal. And hopefully we revert back to type, and we just carry on. And just this is our blip. I'll take it. Kazi said a few weeks ago, all we can do is match the teams around us. And the fact that Chelsea and Arsenal dropped points and they haven't made any ground on us, it feels like a loss, but it's not as bad as what we think it is.
It's not as bad as if Maguire would have made that shot at the end.
Yeah, thank God for that. But in the beginning of the game, I thought, we had the chances, and we talked about this, Brian, in the pre-match. Like, if we got that early lead and we had those chances, the one that McAllister has, who was the other one? But we couldn't convert those, and it felt like we talked about this. The longer we waited, the longer we let United hang around, the worse it was going to get and more difficult it was going to get. A few poor performances. Jones, we talked about. I thought, we talked about in the pre-match, we thought Diaz would have a good game. Obviously, he did not have a good game. Boys in Wilmington, wounded dog. Good points. We move on. I think Sparky was saying in the pre-match, Brian, that the Arsenal result yesterday and maybe the Chelsea result made the draw kind of okay, but at the same time, a win today would have been a lot more demoralizing than now. You just basically gave him another life.
8 points is 8 points. That's three matches, 3-match lead basically. So yeah, it kind of hurt. I really think that, kind of go off of what Sir Z was saying right there. I think there was a little bit of complacency in some aspect on there. I think that I don't think that Gravenberch had a great match. I don't think there's a lot of players you can pick out there that just, that kind of got drawn into the mire of Man United. And I think that's what happened. And that was the one thing I was worried so much about at the beginning. On paper right there, we should be coming there. We should have won this match clear, done. But you got to throw the paperwork out on the derby. But we got drawn into their match, and that's what happened. They threw in some pretty ragged tackles, and we kind of got drawn in emotionally into it, and we lost our heads. On that right there, and I think that's kind of a lot of things that happened. I'll even go with some of the things that we were talking on Discord. I mean, you can start talking about there were some subs that were kind of right there, but overall, I mean, a point's not bad, but it just feels like we dropped 2 points out of this.
And I think part of it is probably, Blake, the fact that, while I mean the point doesn't look as bad now because one, we came back from behind ultimately once, but then at the same time feels bad because we were up at 1 point and then we gave it up. And then Maguire misses, so it's like, oh, it's not that bad. So it kind of like goes up and down in terms of where the draw is. But ultimately, I guess the biggest thing I was going to ask you is we did not see when the halftime was 0-0. We talked about in the pre-match as well that I don't panic as much. I felt like, Slot would make some adjustments. So was it ultimately due to player performances? Because in the second half, the beginning of the second half looked really eerily similar to the first half and didn't look like a lot changed.
I mean, one thing I noticed was there's a lot of, like, from our players, there's a lot of sloppy passes, a lot of just bad, like Trent was, I mean, I can't get over how bad Trent was today, but he'll come back. It was just a sloppy around from us. I think it had to do with the weather, and so I had one guy, a West Ham fan, tell me that it almost felt like today that we were relaxed, knowing that we were still 5 points clear at the top. So like he said, it felt like you guys were more relaxed and just kind of complacent with being the 5 points clear. But I agreed with them a little bit, but it was just I don't know. I just couldn't get over how bad they were today.
I mean, let's start with that one. So, Serzi, you said, I mean, and Blake mentioned Trent. So let's start with like Trent, because Serzi, you said you feel bad for him. I don't necessarily feel bad for him, because I would feel bad for somebody who's having a bad game. We've all had bad games. We've all seen players have bad games. What really irks me more is the body language. One, as you're having a bad game, and two, what you're doing as you're having a bad game. You can have, the thing that gets to me with Trent, and I realize that's what drives his price up, I'm told, because he's the creative mind, and he can do all this stuff. But if Bradley is there, if Bradley is rolling the dice on 50 passes, and then he connects on 2 wonder passes, are we going to pay Bradley 400,000, 500,000 a week as well? Because the risks he takes, I know he thinks one of those passes go through and he gets out of his funk, but it felt like he was just digging himself deeper and deeper with every effort. I mean, the first goal, you can just like hand it off to him, basically. It's a great finish, by the way, by Martinez. I mean, nothing Ali could have done with that. I did not see that shot coming at all, but throughout the game, I mean, Dalot looked like fucking Neymar out there, just like literally walking by him every single time. What do you make of that? Or why do you feel bad for him?
I don't feel bad because of the performance that he put. I mean, like I said, everyone's entitled to a bad game. And you're right, his body language, I think that's just him. I think that's him by nature. We've seen over the years, his body language is like this and all that. I mean, there's a reason that Klopp made him vice captain. I don't think it was just because he was a Scouser. Obviously, he's doing something he was doing something in the training ground, or he has a presence within that group of players where he is vice captain, and it's like Salah was saying, he doesn't talk much, but he must have some kind of leadership aura. What we see on the pitch, obviously we see a different side to that. And the reason I feel bad for him is because this is the last thing he needed. He's not stupid. He's got his family on social media and everything else, and everyone's talking crap about him, and he's going to be another Michael Owen and so forth. And he just didn't need that. So he can do himself a favor and just. And then this is the biggest fear I had with the 3 not signing a contract and, or not coming out of there, publicly, is that if they have a bad game, that's what the narrative is going to be. His head's already gone. He's this, he's that. And even as Salah and Virgil shown otherwise, but that's the first thing, we say, he's had a bad game because his heart's not in it. And Trent is just giving more ammunition to that. So either just sign a damn contract or, like Kazi was saying, maybe Bradley's earned his place. You know, we saw more from Bradley in the last 5-10 minutes of that game than Trent put in all game. And Bradley did, guess what? He did what a fullback's supposed to do: getting challenges, getting tackles. You know, we don't need Trent to be Kevin De Bruyne every match. We just want you to do your job, and then passes are just a bonus to what your position is. So yeah, maybe Trent does need to come out, but then if you put him out for a couple of weeks, again, it's just more fuel, and it's too young a person to deal with that. He's not. I don't think he's mature enough or has enough mature people around him to help him deal with that. And that's why I feel bad for him. But again, he can squash that, and he can just come out and say, "Look, I'm signing a contract," or just let everyone know it's off to Madrid, and we can deal with it, and we can drop him and just play badly.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. Like, I know what you mean. I'm just not buying.
I mean, that's an extreme case.
You know, he's got that weight of
extreme point.
Madrid, going to Madrid or staying here on his shoulders, and you know that's got to be weighing on him at least a little bit, I would think.
I can understand that, and I can understand like your mind not being into it, and maybe I should like rephrase it. When I say body language, maybe like I should rephrase it, because I know what you're saying, Sergi, in terms of that. I mean, Van Dijk does not look like, when you look at Van Dijk, you know, calm as you like, he looks like he doesn't care. Gustav says, Van Dijk was off or poor today. I didn't think so. I thought he was fine. I mean, I didn't think he was great, but I didn't think he was poor either. I thought he was.
I mean, maybe it wasn't his best game, but I thought he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to play a center back in this freaking weather, especially when they keep lobbing the ball to Højlund, because that's what they were really working on a lot. So I thought it was okay. But Brian, I think more when I say body language, I think it's more when I'm talking about efforts. It's not like what you do when it's a throw in and like your face. I don't need you to be like this playing all the time. But I guess I phrased the question wrong to Sergi. When I say body language, I'm more talking about your effort rate. You can have a poor game, but still, Robertson has had some poor games, but we have not questioned the effort. Nunez had some ridiculously poor games. We have not questioned the effort. How he goes about his business, Brian, makes me question effort, maybe unfairly.
The second goal, he stopped, and that's enough for me right there. He stopped. He came there, went to the top of the box, and you see he slowed down when it slowed down. I mean, yeah, everybody's pretty was bashing Kanate right there for that second goal. I mean, you're talking about a 75% Kanate probably right there, which kind of goes like with I mean, what's the level of trust with Kwanzaa right now too? I mean, it throws another question of where Slot is with his thought process too. But Trent came there and did not follow through, and that's one of the things that any sport that you were that when you were a kid that was always put out to everybody: continue following through, keep on following the ball, keep on doing these things. He stopped. He stopped like that on there. On twice I watched him in that match where he just stopped and like kind of like almost like a moping kind of thing right there. Dude, you're a professional. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, yeah. Do I think that you're talented? Yes, but you know the thing is, you're a professional. You have to come with there. You have kids watching you. I mean, and watching you perform. If your head's not into this right there, please just tell everybody your head's not into it. I mean, say, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to go in there. Maybe I need that time. Maybe I need to figure out. I mean, you can do the chat thing all you want right there in a one match, but guess what? Show it on the fucking pitch. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, and I didn't see that today. I saw, like Sergi said, I saw Bradley come in there for a couple minutes right there, and he had more effort in him than I watched Trent in that entire match. And that's where I'm at right there. You were talking about Robbo. We gave Robbo a bunch of shit, but I watched Robbo right there have more effort than Trent on the left side. It's all about these other players through here, right there. I mean, that you have to look at, and you're a vice captain, so which means that you are a position of leadership on that pitch. Fucking lead. I'm sorry, lead by example. I mean, these are things right there that you have to do. I mean, I came there and wanted to compose myself a little bit more, but I get more and more frustrated with this whole situation because if Trent wanted to go there, whatever Trent wants to do, I mean, it needs to be done. I mean, hey, you say, guess what? I want to go like do what Steven Gerrard did. Say, hey, guess what? I'm leaving at the end of the season. Move on. Let's go. Let's get this shit wrapped up right there. You know, great, good job, Trent. You know, go do what you want to do or stuff like that. But you know, again, stop this mess right there. Stop with it. He's creating his own drama, and that's all I was saying right there. This is his own drama that he owns it right now. So I mean, either go there or do one thing or another right there, and and it goes back a couple of weeks ago. I said right there, his brothers maybe need to go there and sit down and talk to him and say, hey, what do you really want to do? And then go and then figure this out, and then let's move on from this right there. But again, I don't think Trent's head's into this at the moment right now. I don't know. I mean, by watching this right here, I just don't know whether he's just like a roller coaster at the moment, and maybe he needs that like we said before the show, maybe he needs a couple of minutes right there or a couple of games to sit back on the bench right there and get some perspective and let Bradley get some minutes. I mean, and especially against Spurs in the FA Cup and then Accrington Stanley on come this weekend. Give him some minutes to clear his head and then figure your life out.
And I think it's probably, I mean, going back to what Sir Z was saying, this is probably where you're right, Sir Z, in terms of that's the only reason I feel bad is the timing of this. Because if this game happened back in October, I don't think he's getting judged as harshly because now we're putting the contract into context and stuff like that. It would just be like a blip and it would be like, oh, yeah, like a really bad game. Now we're kind of putting all the pieces together. Kostov says Connor Bradley should start more often. I'm assuming Blake that he did not come in today because he can only play so many minutes because I really felt like, I mean, I guess let me ask you that. Did he come in late because he can give you only so many minutes, or was that Slot's way of hoping?
I think it was Slot's way
out of it.
I bet he was hoping Trent would find his way out, and Trent never did. So he decided that he needed to make a change. But do I think Trent will get next game off? I don't know, like he did with Kwanzaa, but
he's right now. Bradley's a max 30-minute player for this match. That's the max he can really put in. I mean, honestly, I'm really, I think that even with Kanate probably coming into this right there, maybe a tad early for him too. But it just goes back to what I said earlier. What's the trust factor with Kwanzaa?
That's true. I think Dom was sorely missed in this game. I think Dom would have made a big difference up that pitch. But he was sick, wasn't he?
I guess he was sick because he was not even on the bench. But I mean, I think that's the other thing, right? Like Sergi, and like you said, like the Scousers are the ones who didn't show up. I thought, Jones, I mean, yeah, right on cue. Gustav is like, Curtis Jones' poor performance hampered the overall. He just hangs on to the ball so much, man. I mean, I thought he kind of got that off the system, but it's almost like it's back. You look at Gravenberg, you look at Mac, one move, and then they pass the ball. Like they get past one guy and then move the ball. Whereas Jones, there was a point where he was in between three guys and he had 2-3 different options to drop to or go sideways. And he decides to see if he can come out of that. Yes, when you come out of that, it's like, oh, wow, look at that. But most likely you're not going to come out of that.
That's it. And you pay percentages. And you look at McAllister. McAllister easily the best player on that field today. Easily. Yeah. And you see, he played it simple when he needed to, and then he did the clever stuff when he needed to. And and that comes from experience, and obviously, being in the Argentina team and so forth. And it's game intelligence. And I would put McAllister as vice captain all day long. I think with Trent again, and the fact that that's all everyone's going to be talking about is Trent. And and this is
like Roy Keane said, he'll find himself playing at Tranmere Rovers or something.
Yeah, but his situation now is that the silence speaks volumes. The silence is the loudest thing in this narrative, and like if you pull Trent off earlier, again, whatever you do with Trent is always going to make noise right now. If you pull him off at half time, if you pull him off 60 minutes, his head's not in the slot, so trusting him. If you did that with Salah and Salah was playing the same kind of media games, I mean, Salah's pretty much said he's leaving. So we know, right, black and white, we kind of know where he stands right now. If you post, but he's showing that he still wants to play for this team. If you pull Salah off at half time and put on Elliott, you'd think, oh yeah, Slot's lost his trust in Salah. But you don't have that with Salah. You don't have that with Virgil. But with Trent, we just, and I'm going to take this game as an isolation because against West Ham, he did play well. And that was the last game that he played It's just like I say, it's everything coming out in social media right now, and him still not signing his contract and having a bad game is just a combination of all three of it. It's just bad timing for him.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, is it chicken and the egg, right? Is it because of all this that affects the performance? I know he played, or he's getting all the criticism now because of the contracts. Like he was going to any mishap, he was going to get it. Like I say, he does not help his cause, and I agree with you on that. And it goes back to this: if you're gonna do that, man, you better be able to shut that. You can't do that one game and then next game it's like going crazy. So,
but it's like kind of like what I said in Discord right there. I mean, we've as harsh as we are about Trent, that we do kind of hug him and put him under like some like protective pillows and things like that because he's one of our own. He goes over to the Bernabeu and does this shit against Barcelona. Oh wow!
Yeah,
he's gonna get ridiculed.
He doesn't even know what it's like right there for this right there. It's gonna be so harsh on him. And again, right there, I mean, you and I came there and did our ribbon about Trent going to the midfield and stuff like that, And again, right there, I think a lot of that right there kind of goes into his head too, because Klopp was kind of experimenting with doing with that position base, and then all of a sudden Slot comes in and says, "Hey, that's not how I play." Those things right there affect players right there because you think, hey, you know what, I could be in the midfield, and then Southgate came to put him in the midfield, and you like kind of like during the Euros and stuff like that. So, you see those kind of things and players kind of get their heads turned like, well, maybe I can be in the midfield. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that extra slot, that transitional type of player and all that, instead of being a fullback, which your position is. I mean, again, it goes back to what we saw with Bradley. Bradley played as a fullback. I mean, Trent right there is a fullback, but he has that little extraness to him right there. But sometimes right there, your defensive responsibilities are the most important, are the most part of your aspect of your job right there. And and you're a fullback, you're supposed to be a defender. I mean, a defender in the utmost, because defenses right there ultimately win matches right there. And in this match right there, we had 2 lapses right there in defense right there, which cost us 2 points.
but this is why I was getting on your case about that whole midfield thing all these years.
I know. Yeah.
He cannot. This is exactly why he cannot play midfield in this game, in this team, the way we play, and what is expected, because his positional awareness is out the door. The way, because this midfield is successful because of the understanding of Gravenberch and McAllister, when to push up, when to make that run into the box, when to hold back. He's going up, so I'm going to stay back, because Trent is never staying back. So it's automatically going to get rid of the other one, and he can defend. So he can be a defensive midfielder. That's the number 6 either. And this is why I agree. I mean, like Sir Z says, I blame Pep Linders for getting him into the midfield concept, because
Fabinho saved
his mind.
Fabinho saved his ass. Fabinho saved Trent's ass a lot.
Fabinho, Henderson, for all the shit he got, was the one covering him all the time. But I think this year, that's why, in some ways, and yeah, you should have heard the things I was saying during the game. The dogs heard it; they can tell you. But I mean, I feel like he had made a step up in terms of defensively. We talked about it before, and he knew was going to be a right back. So I guess I'll ask you that, Blake, because we talked about, I mean, there's not a Gomez is out too, so you don't have. It's not like you have a lot of right backs. Bradley is the only guy that came from the injury. We hear over and over again from all these players that the thing about Slot is he tells you how it is, and he doesn't care what your response is going to be. What do you think Slot says to Trent after this?
I mean, I think he's gonna let him he's gonna be honest with Trent. He'll let him have it, and I think he's gonna work with him. But I mean, it makes you kind of start wondering if maybe I should start Bradley in that Tottenham game. Give Trent some time off to clear his head, maybe even the Accrington Stanley game, because let's face it, you're not going to need Trent against a League 2 side. Give Trent a couple, let him clear his head, hopefully make that decision that it's going to be good for him. I personally think he should stay, because I think he's just going to be another number at Real Madrid, and he plays like today, he's going to get ridiculed there. I just don't think he's ready. He's ready for the big lights of Madrid and the Bernabeu. So I think Slot's going to sit down with him. I think he'll get the next 2 games off. I get that. We got Gomez is out, so that means Bradley's going to have to play a lot more minutes than what he played today.
See, I feel like I'm on the other camp, especially because you're playing Spurs, and it's actually long range behind the defense. Passing is probably a lot more valuable. And
but
I know what you're saying, Blake, but Serzi, do you at the same time say, you know what? Like go out there and make it right. Show them why you are the best right back, and we're offering you freaking 300,000 and shit.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I don't think it's just Slot. If he saw Virgil, he went nuts with him. And to a point of Trent didn't even look at Virgil. Like, he just had his back towards Virgil in that game. And he,
Yeah, by the way, if looks could kill. No.
I know. He'll be 6 foot under. Like, so he knows. And Trent doesn't need to be told that he had a bad game. He knows. And, he has to be have the intelligence level of Nunes to not realize he had a bad game today. So, who know about it. And it's just, again, just stepping up. The Accrington Stanley game would be a good break for him. I don't know why these players do need a break. We haven't played since West Ham. But, whatever it is, a week's a long time in football. Who knows? We might find out that he's renewed with us, and hopefully he does. If not, it is what it is. The more that this is up in the air, the more inconsistent and the more the narrative just gets worse for him. And every time he puts a bad pass, or everyone's just going to be all over him. It's different. If we find out that he signed a contract before the game today and had a bad game, we wouldn't be having this conversation as much, or he wouldn't be getting as much abuse. But yeah, it's in his hands. It's in his hands of how of what the fans think of him, and how think, and what the media and everyone else translate his performances to be.
Gustav says, do you think subbing Nunez in for Gakpo was correct? Nunez even got an unnecessary yellow. Well, I don't know which match he's missing, but I mean, I don't know that.
I think they said it
was he's missing the Forest game.
I think
he's missing the Forest game. That's fine.
Yeah. Or is it the Forest game?
I honestly thought when Jota was coming down the middle, I was like, dude, he's gonna get this. The shot that Onana saved, I thought he was going to. That was going to be such a vintage Jota goal when he's like dribbling down the middle, and I thought it was going to be a ground shot. He just went up here, but I mean, Nunez, man, every time I see him, you can't blame the effort. But I mean, there's that counter where he's thinking 6 things, so he can't do one, and then there's that. I know it's a great tackle, but I'm telling you right now, the one that Yoro cleared on that counter, a good 9 gets to that and earns the penalty. I'm telling you, that's a great tackle. Nothing to take away from him, but a good 9 puts his foot in there, anticipates the contact, and earns you a penalty. That's just how it is. Doesn't try to control that. Knows that the guy is sliding. Just gets the touch on the ball so that the other guy can get, like, he almost plays defender to the defender, puts the ball away from him. So the only contact is now with the player. But I love the dude. I love his effort. But you'll see us pressing afterwards. We started chasing the ball the moment Nunez came in, because he's always not covering the guy that the ball would go to. He's just running straight at it just drives me nuts. And how a professional player cannot learn that and get better at that is beyond me. I just don't get it. I just do not get it. The goalie has the ball. He's running at the goalie full speed, but not coming from the right back side, knowing that's the only open guy. So when you run to him, it goes to the right back. So now the midfield has step up. We looked like United at one point because we were chasing the ball because the press was so poor up top. Just drove me nuts. But let's end on a positive note. Brian, you asked me before we went on air, so I will ask you, what is the positive to take away from this game?
I think that there's a couple positives on there. One, we didn't lose the match right there. We're obviously right there. We were a penalty and Maguire being Maguire, kind of from not even from having basically run out of here off our own fucking pitch. Robbo was very positive to me. I think that Robertson and McAllister together right there were immense in that match, and I think that was a very big positive moment. I thought Ali looked pretty good because I don't think that he could. I don't think that those goals that he conceded right there. Honestly, Martinez one right there. No keeper stopping that. I mean that's. But I mean I think that Ali maintained his position very well. I mean, so I think that again. We still have 6 points, a 6 point gap with a match in hand. I mean, so it's not the complete end of the world of Kothar drawing this match. I don't like draws because I think draws lose championships. So I really think that so there's things that we can build off of that right there. I think there were some again, defending was some aspects were better on the left-hand side, and I do think that we had some pretty good movement in the first half right there. I mean, some where we should have actually finished it off right there, but I'm going to go positive with that this is going to be a learning experience right there, and I think that we're onward to Spurs and onward to Akron and Stanley.
How about you, Blake? Positive to take out of this game?
I mean, I guess I agree with Brian. I mean, Maka and Robbo were good. Ali was good. Kanate looked. I mean, he had his moments. He's probably about 75%, I'd say.
Yeah, he wore down physically, but you don't change a center. We talked about it in the pre-match, right? You don't sub a center back in that stage and put claws on the thing. Yeah.
I mean, Mo. I mean, he was okay. I would have liked to see more from Jota when he came on, but I'd say the positives. I think Maka's back to being Maka.
And, he was unreal, man. I love watching that dude play.
Oh, he made it look like I said it a few times, so silky smooth with that ball.
Yeah, I thought like midfield, Jones not as much, but Jones especially on the ball not as much. But they worked well, and I thought we did control the game at times. I really thought, the pressing and so Diaz was probably we didn't get to talk to him much, but he was probably I think he got lost between 3 center backs as opposed to just dealing with 2. That was probably a problem. But Serzi, you're Mr. Negative. So let's get you a positive out of you on the way out.
The best positive is that no one made ground on us. And like I said, as long as we keep matching our rivals, we're good where we are. So the fact that Arsenal and Chelsea didn't win yesterday helped us. So yeah, our positive comes from other people's failures.
Sadly, I'm not as positive myself. I give you shit, but that's why I'm on the same boat. And it feels bad because a win today would have really crushed Arsenal's hope. It would be very demoralizing.
8 points clear if we would have won.
Yeah, I mean, we would basically just keeping them in it is similar to keeping United in the game at 0-0. I just don't like that aspect of it. But at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, a game in hand, you get the points. I don't even know. I expect a similar game out of the Everton game as well to this one because, throw the records out the thing again. So I count that in the back of my head as a point. So I take it as we have a 7-point lead right now, which is not too shabby because every week we get closer and they have less time to catch up. And they still have to come to Anfield. And that could be a 6-point game. And honestly, you win that game, you win the title anyway. Right now is the way I'm looking at it. But having Arsenal come, having to win is different than having them come okay with a draw because we've seen them do that against City. But gentlemen, thanks a lot. We'll definitely be talking a lot more about this throughout the week as we get ready for Wednesday. When is this game? Wednesday as we get ready for Wednesday's game. So I'll be back on tomorrow with the Polish Prince. Grumpy will be here in all his glory as well, and he will be needed tomorrow. But have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.